we hold a vision, we'll get there. And if we do it collectively, it's even supercharged. So take a deep breath, and we'll repeat our treatment for freedom together aloud. I speak my word for myself, my center, and all its members and friends. I know love as the only reality. I am created out of love. Love is what I am. I know this love as absolute freedom in every area of my life, the life of my center, and all who call it home. I know our center's mortgages are paid in full, and I claim for all of us financial freedom with all debts paid and cleared. I release any sense of struggle or wrongdoing. I live in an abundant universe where there is more than enough for all. We experience freedom in every moment by always having more than enough money, vibrant health, and loving relationships. We are who we have come here to be. With hearts open wide, we see the world through the eyes of love. We are blessed, we are rich, and we are free. And so it is. And we use our points of power. I always pay attention. I always tell the truth and tell it quickly. I always ask for what I want when I want it. I always take total responsibility for my experience. I always keep my agreements. And so it is. So this is a day where we focus on peace. And as has been said many times on this stage already, peace is already within us. Peace is already inside of us. It's not something that we have to go and find and shove into us. It's not something that we can buy in the store. It's not something that is foreign to us. We all know that feeling of peace. When we take a deep breath and we feel that connection, that sense of serenity, that knowing that all is well. That's peace. It's a wonderful thing. And I wonder why I don't feel it more often. You may have noticed that sometimes things seem to just reach in and take our peace and run with it. And then we are left peaceless. You know, doesn't it feel that way? I went home after class and watched a little bit of the debates. And then thought, what are you doing? Just because I wasn't able to watch them in peace. And so if I'm going to open myself up to something that's going to have me, that I'm going to allow to rob me of my peace, then I either need to pull my head together enough to have my peace or stop doing that. So at that moment I chose the option of stopping doing it. But there are so many things that have us believe that we don't live in peace, that there are outside forces at work for us and for other people. When we watch television or the news, when we read the papers, sometimes just driving down the street, we can experience, I did my morning meditation, I did my treatment work, I had my meeting with my CSO, I've done my treatment for freedom, I'm good, I am good. And then I'm going down the street and something happens. Something happens, maybe it's not a big deal, maybe it's just that car next to me starts to turn into my lane, but I'm there. And all of a sudden, my peace evaporates. And then my head says, peace is within. But my adrenaline, or my adrenals that are pumping adrenaline through my system and my heart is racing tells me no, peace is transitory. Peace isn't from within, it can be taken from without. I think this is a journey we're all on. And I would be inauthentic to say I'm always at peace because I'm not. I have not had a terribly peaceful week. I wasn't at peace when Sandy and Becca called me Sunday afternoon and said, checking on Jenny, something's wrong, something's off here. And I drove there and called an ambulance. I wasn't at peace when 15 minutes after I called the ambulance, they still weren't there. And so I'm standing in the middle of Sweeten Creek Road looking for ambulances or fire trucks. And when they come, I'm waving them into the right road. I wasn't at peace there. I felt like something had happened that was outside of my control, because I've really tried to get people to do what I want them to do, and it just doesn't work. So Jenny is a spiritual being. She's going to stay if she's going to stay. She's going to go if she's going to go, and she wasn't listening to me. And because of that, I gave up my peace. I gave up my peace. I hurt my foot. It's like we just can't pretend with the universe, whatever's going on inside of us is going to happen on the outside. And so, vacillating back and forth this week of, my gosh, on Friday she moved her left arm and leg, and that was the paralyzed side. And she moved them. And then Friday night she had a fever of 106. So up and down, up and down, up and down. Maybe you've got those kinds of situations in your life where everything looks like it's going the way I want it to go. We're going to have a healing. I am claiming and calling forth vibrant health because that's what she asked for. She's going to be up here doing a testimonial about how at 86 she had a stroke, and it was a stroke of genius, a stroke of insight. And then that wasn't it, because it's not mine to call. So my level of peace was something I felt like I was chasing this week. And one thing that helps me, and if you don't do this, I strongly recommend you to, is to find a way to go into a state of peace when you don't have obstacles. Some people call that meditation. Before the day gets away from you, practice peace. Open up to that presence of spirit. Feel that connection. And when you feel that connection of spirit in you, as you, is you, there's nothing to be upset about, nothing to be afraid of, nothing to be confused about, because anytime that we move into the consciousness of who we are, everything is fine. Even though the ship may be sinking and the fires may be raging, we know who we are and all is well. And there's this idea that if we raise the vibration of something, then we transform the effect. That if we shift what's going on inside of us, the outside shifts. Ernest got the phrase from Aurobindo in his book, The Life Divine. He said, transcendence transmutes. It does not rectify. So if we want to deal with rectifying, here's one thing, here's another thing, we're going to mediate it out and fix it and do all that stuff, then we're not transcending the situation. We're very much staying in the situation. Well, Barbara, do you know what they did to me? Well, if they did that to me, I'm going to do that to them. And then we're going to call in the big guns and we're trying to rectify it. That will always keep us at the level of the problem. Whereas if we transcend that, if we move into seeing things with our God eyes, loving with our God heart, thinking with our God mind, then everything is different. Everything is a blessing. Everything is here for our good. Every being on the planet is God in form, a being of light, a being of love, in their perfect and right place, doing exactly what they're supposed to do, no matter what I think. When we can see with God eyes, and when we can live our life as that God being that we are, everything shifts and everything changes. And I believe that that is such an important step, because what is fear? What is fear but thinking that it's not one, that God isn't in this place, that all is lost, that things can be taken from me, that I can lose things, that all has gone awry? That's fear. And that's a lie. And if we deal at the level of fear, and the level of effect, and the level of duality, we're never going to get out of there. We have to rise up. We have to rise up. We have to what is that phrase? We have to forgive people who aren't sorry. Yeah. We have to love our biological family. We do. We do. we have to realize that everything that we've attracted into our experience is from us and for us. That nobody's doing anything to anyone. That everything is an evolution of consciousness. And that means that the world is getting better. That humanity is growing and expanding. And that all is well. When we can do that, and we can experience life from that plane, then we raise the vibration, we transcend it, and everything changes. And instead of looking at how the wars are happening, we see that really peace is emerging. Instead of looking at how people are narrow-minded, we see that this is an opportunity for us all to realize it's time to be broad-minded. It's time to be giving instead of taking. It's time to love instead of hate. And sometimes those shifts don't look like we thought they would look because we want everything just to be easy. We just don't want to break a sweat spiritually. You know, we want everything just to be handed to us. And sometimes when the growth happens, it really challenges us. It pushes us. And it forces us to say, if I deal with this at the level of the problem, if I deal with this at the level of the fight, if I deal with this at the level of the judgment, then I'm never going to get out of here. I have to find a new way. I have to find the peace that is already within me. And rather than wanting somebody else to give me my peace, I have to have so much that I can give some to them. Wow. This being on a spiritual path thing asks a lot of us. It asks us to see ourselves and everybody else differently than most people in the world see. It asks us to give that which we want, to raise everyone around us, to see that everything that is happening is part of a perfect unfoldment of light and love, and that that's all that's going on. It's not that Spirit is all that there is, except in this country where I don't like what they're doing. No, Spirit is either all that there is or it isn't. And if it isn't, time and space will not hold together and we cannot be here. The fact that we are here is an affirmation of the presence of the divine. And it's up to us to see it. And it's up to us to live it. And it's up to us to give it. Not only when things are going great, but when things seem to be challenging us. For that matter, I think those are the times of our greatest growth. We're all gems, and we're all in the rough. And so we all get to be tumbled a little bit, to be polished up. And if there's a little grit in your life, that just means you're going to shine brighter. If you don't run away from it, if you lean into it, if you lift it, because you're high enough to lift it up. Now, if you don't dive into the depths and get all petty, then you're not lifting anything. You're going to take it and drag it down with you and wonder why nothing's happening, nothing's changing, things aren't any better. But if you can rise up and say, I may not understand what the value in this is, but I know that because Spirit is right here, there's value in it. I know that I have created this in my life for a reason, and I'm going to use it to grow so that I don't have to just create it all over again. I'm going to bless it and grow in it and be able to give out that energy that says all is well, this is a blessing, things will never get bad or wrong, that there's only that which lifts us. Then we're going to lift it up and we're going to have our lives get fantastic. And people will say, boy, you're so lucky. No, we're not lucky. We broke a lot of spiritual sweats to get here. We got buffered. We got polished. We got buffed to get here because we were willing to go and take the high road instead of the low road. We were willing to go and bring peace into the world instead of looking for peace. You know, there's a lot to say for the desire to go sit up on a mountaintop all by yourself. But all that does is let you be happy by yourself. No, we're in this together. There are 7.5 billion of us on this planet. And we are the wayshores. We are the light bearers. We cannot be like everyone else. We have to be better. We have to be brighter. We have to be more open. We have to be more loving. And if we want to experience this idea of peace being on earth, then we are the ones that have to bring it. Nobody else is going to do it. It's up to us. But the good news is that we can do it. We sing the peace song every Sunday. Let there be peace on earth and let it begin with me, because we are the only ones that can bring peace onto the earth, into the world. But I guarantee you we can. And I don't care what you're seeing on the outside. I don't care what stories you're hearing. Because if you want to go there, there are some pretty intense energies happening in the world right now. And that calls us to be more. It calls us to stand taller, to hold our lights brighter and higher so that we can light the way for everyone. We're not light bearers and we get to wait until the sun comes up. We're light bearers. We go charge it off into the darkness with our light so that other people can follow us. We are way showers, which means we are showing the way. We're not waiting for someone else to find the way and give us a map. We take our light and we take it forward. And what happens is that the people around us rise up. Those thought forms that we put out in our judgment and negativity, instead of taking people down, we put out thought forms of oneness and positivity and love and light. We bless everyone and everything and insist on having that blessing manifest. We are the bringers of peace. Even Jesus said, I come that they may have peace and have it, and that's not true. We are the bringers of peace. We are the ones who bring peace into the world. And so that is our challenge, and that is our commitment as we focus on peace this day, as we hold a higher vision of what we can be individually and collectively. If we name it, we will claim it. And if we know it, we will grow it. And so I name peace on this planet for every man, woman, and child. And I know it by living it and bringing it forth. And so it is. Thank you, and now our